You're listening to the Get Peel podcast, a space for life enthusiasts to get inspired, learn through others about fitness, business, relationships, and life itself. I'm your host, Hannah Eden, a fitness entrepreneur that has an obsession with sweating and a burning desire to share and inspire others with the lessons I've learned through fitness. Hey guys, welcome back to the Get Peel podcast. I'm Hannah Eden.
I'm Paulo and we're here again to do another one.
Where are we, babe?
We are in the Zion National Park.
That's right.
Today we decided to do the Narrows.
Yep.
2 days ago we did Angel's Landing.
Holy
that was insane.
shit.
We did it for my birthday.
That's right. How old did you just turn, babes?
36.
Oh, man.
36. Been a good life.
It really has been.
Been a good life.
And I remember when you wrote 26 on a Bud Light bottle, and it's like
I remember that
memory
too. I
of
remember that get together with my friends way back when.
You were
roommates.
Yeah.
It was good stuff.
That's when Pappy Brazil was around, right?
Good times.
If you've ever listened to any other episodes, I'm pretty sure Pappy Brazil was introduced.
I don't think so. Was it?
Maybe. So before we get too far off track here, we're going to talk today about the struggle, and what struggle, that word, I think, means to us as individuals, and what we see people struggle with often, and we would want to kind of relate and open up and be vulnerable. So we thought we'd find this really cool space and have a really meaningful conversation with each other, I guess, and you. So I'm going to talk to Paulo and kind of pick him apart about his struggle, and what I want him to open up to me about one of the biggest struggles in his life and what it included and what kind of went on during that stage. Right. And then he's going to actually do the same thing to me and ask me about my struggle. So my struggle is going to be about, being a very rebellious kid and leaving the US and being different and being just like this really horrible child. And
So what struggle to you? Let's start with that.
well, no, I wanted to set the tone,
Okay.
and then we'll go to that.
Okay.
But what's your struggle?
Growing up as a kid, I was fairly overweight. Not like clinically in a state where life was impossible to live, but I was picked on. There was a lot of that. And kids, they tend to be super vicious with everything.
Oh my gosh, brutal.
And small little things that hurt, words hurt. So I battled with being overweight and trying to turn it around and find a different kind of lifestyle. And it was tough times.
Oh man, cool.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into the struggle part, we just struggled to get to exactly where we are sitting right now, which is on top of a rock. Now, we decided to do the Narrows today, which in between a canyon here in Zion National Park, and we've been walking in water up to our waist, and it is crazy. Our feet are so wet, and it's a really, really cool thing. But we bought our camera, we put it on a bag, in a waterproof bag, to make sure we could get here and bring you with us and have this conversation today. So you were asking me, what is struggle to me? What does it mean to me? I think struggle is something that is an obstacle that appears in your life, that every single one of us has, and not one person in this world can try and compare a struggle because it's relative to us as individuals. And it can be like a road bump, and something that makes life hard for you in some way, whether it's inflicted, or if it is created or caused by something else around you, or if it's not your fault, or whatever it may be. Struggle can come in so many different versions, and I think it's something that it knocks us on our ass, and it's an opportunity for us to understand who we really are, what we're truly made of. But I also think it's a space for us to grow and evolve into a far better human being. I think that every strong individual has a really, really strong story, but there's a reason for that. If you were all handed something to each other on a silver spoon, then life would be easy, right? And we wouldn't learn the lessons and be stretched into these spaces that force us to grow and find out who we really are.
Absolutely.
What struggle to you?
Well, I think that the nature of the concept is fairly the same. It's adversity, right? It's something that happens to you. It could be, like you said, self-inflicted in a way that some may struggle with emotional stability, sometimes the mental stability. Some people struggle with turning sometimes emotional issues into chasing food, like I did when I was younger. And it could be a physical struggle, it could be life, it could be kids, it could be anything. Anything that challenges you to evolve, challenges you to find a way through or over it, but nonetheless find a way.
And I know that I am known, especially by people that are close to me, as being an extremely black or white person, right? Like, there's a quote that Kobe Bryant, legend, once said, which is, "I don't have anything in common with lazy people that blame others for their lack of success." And that speaks to me so clearly, and that is so hard for me to understand why people can't get back up, right? And I say that because I was there, and I think that this episode of getting peeled and really peeling back the layers is, I'm going to make myself really vulnerable, and I'm going to share with you guys everything that I went through, or that I had not went through, but that I chose to experience and chose to bring on myself, and the decisions that I made that led to some really shitty and dark places in my life. But, you know, we can talk about this in another episode of how we were able to become aware enough of that to overcome it, and how we committed to this new self, right? Which we'll get to, because I think this story could go on for hours. But let's focus on the struggle right now. Let's open up. Let's talk, and I'm gonna pick you apart a little bit. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. So if you're gonna open up to me about one of the biggest struggles in your life, right? And you're saying that it was being overweight. Let's go back to that stage in your life and understand how old you were, where you were at that point, what you were doing, and kind of set the stone for us. The scene, sorry.
I was around 12, 13 until maybe the age of 18, 19. So it was literally whenever you're shaping up, whenever you're having the first experiences and milestones in your life.
Tough age, man. Tough
age. You're awkward. I was awkward. You know what I mean?
No,
You're
you
lanky, you
were.
got weird hair, you got weird face, weird teeth. Everything's weird.
Paulo has really good curly hair.
So it's crazy. So anyways, being younger, one of my sports of choice, I say choice, but my dad practiced judo at a young age, and both of my brothers did too. And then I kind of picked up on it, and judo was something that I did consistently every single, like 4 or 5 times a week, competed in states and nationals, traveled with it, did it for many years. And competing judo, I used to compete on the heavyweight class. And the heavyweight class used to be what? 72 kilos.
And this is in Brazil, right?
Yeah. 76 or something like that. 76 kilos, I think. And I was 13 at 76 kilos. So...
How tall were you?
Not tall at all.
You're 6'2" now.
So much so that, and this is maybe another story, but so much so that whenever you get older, each weight class has different age brackets. 14, 15, 16, 17, for instance. And whenever I turned, I think it was 15 or 16, I was the shortest, because I was still heavyweight, but I was the very bottom of the class. So I was the shortest and the smallest. And I remember getting my ass kicked. And that was when I said, enough of this shit.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Enough of this shit.
The struggle.
The first competition of the year, I almost dislocated my elbow. It was bad. I got tossed around like a rag doll.
My poor
but anyways, so being weight competed, it was awesome. Did really well in judo. But still, doesn't matter if you're doing good in one thing. You're kids. Kids talk a lot. Kids make fun of a lot of shit. And even my best friends to this day, friends that I've been friends with for 20 plus years, it's your closest friends. And it's usually your closest people that actually make fun of you.
They fuck with you, baby.
They fuck with you, man.
What do they say to you?
But in all honesty, they used to fuck with me, and I used to fuck with everyone back. I was the jokester. But it's one of those defense mechanisms.
Nothing's
Absolutely.
changed.
Defense mechanism. When you see that people come to pick on you, you anticipate and then you start picking on them, which is what kids do.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that was it. What was specifically your question again?
I was going to say, set the tone. How old were you? Where were you?
That was it.
So we can see.
So
and how
high
much did you
school-
weigh if you're, I'm going to try and attach a picture to this podcast, but
Yeah.
like how describe yourself to us visually. If no one can see you and you had to describe what you look like at you think that your biggest point in your life, that you felt the most ashamed or whatever that made you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Help us understand what you look like.
What
If
I
not what you
like.
look like, because I've seen pictures and you know what's crazy?
Chunky, like a fat little kid, which is most kids that are not really super into like crazy sports, like most kids kind of look like that, right? But in Brazil, nutrition was totally different back then, and I guess nutrition was totally different everywhere in the world. So I remember like my parents not knowing, obviously, ignorance is bliss. Oh, you're eating too many bananas. There's a lot of fat there. Or mango, don't eat mango. It's a lot of fat in mango. I'm like,
now we know, like fat mango, what?
Like what?
Okay, so we've set the scene. That's what we now know what you look like, right? So you still haven't described just what you look like. You're missing this. So let's
Chunky
get it.
kid, round face,
Short.
Like, puffy hair. Not short. Medium.
Still gorgeous
still
green
height.
eyes. So cute.
Whatever. Super round face, like a basketball.
But I do want to say I think it's interesting because I have seen pictures of you at that time in your life because I didn't believe him when he told me when we first met because you were like this 6'2", lean, muscular stud. And it's like, what? You were overweight up until the age of 18. I just couldn't see it. And then I think the way that you had described yourself to me, which is how you see yourself, right?
Yeah.
I was expecting to see like this like gigantic kid. And whenever I saw the pictures, I mean, you were overweight, but not what I was expecting. I thought you were going to be really, 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 really overweight, just by how we talk about ourselves and how we see ourselves, right? Which is kind of like...
It's tough, because I guess that the perception that we get from ourselves, it's mostly essentially built by all the external feedback that you get from the world around you, right?
Yeah.
So if you get picked on, you look at yourself as a bag of shit.
Oh my God, and kids are so fucking mean.
So, well, I remember, for instance, competing in judo, traveling, and we would stay in hotels, or even sometimes I remember we were staying in a stadium in Brazil. And you go to the locker room, and everyone has to shower. Well, your kids. Not used to that. Oh man, those are tough times.
Tough times.
Like, you know.
Oh my God.
Being super shy, not wanting to take my shirt in front of my friends, or going to waterfalls or stuff with friends and keeping your shirt on. You know what I mean?
Dude.
It's
Oh my
tough.
gosh. I remember as a like greasy, pubescent teenager, I had like the worst acne on my back.
Yeah.
And all over my face, and no boobs. And I used to always wear like 3 bras.
Really?
And stuff my bra with like chicken cutlets and padding. And
No, what do you mean chicken cutlets?
like, if girls know what I'm talking about, I used to slap like 2, I used to double up on those fuckers until I got fake boobs. So they look like chicken breasts.
Not real chicken. Please tell me it wasn't real
No,
chicken.
it looks like it, but it's not. You buy them from a department store, or like Victoria's Secret has chicken cutlets. But I used to buy them, or I'd steal my mom's silicone and they go in, yeah, but they were thick, and they'd add like 3 bra sizes.
That's different.
But I remember that same feeling, and then in school, when it came to swimming season, and we had to wear a fucking one piece that you couldn't wear 3 bras.
Saying.
Oh my God, I would try and I'd lie and say I was on my period when I wasn't. I mean, it came up with every excuse, because of the fact that kids would destroy you about
Fucking
it.
get you.
You know? Oh, she's got no boobs. She looks like a boy.
And then you go home and you pick yourself apart like a surgeon. You're like, oh man, this is not good.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just
No, I get it.
Okay, so that was what was going on. So let's talk about, you mentioned little bits here and there, but let's dive more into what may have been some factors that came into this situation as to why you think that you got overweight. Like, do you look at that it was self-inflicted because it was emotional? Like, you mentioned that. Like, talk to us about...
Self-inflicted, obviously.
Talk to us about that.
But I guess growing up, I remember my mom telling me, actually not growing up, at an older age, talking about the past. I remember my mom telling me that she started seeing difference on my weight after my grandfather passed. Because we were super attached, we were super close, very, very close. And that was 1994. So that means that I was 9. So that's when I started, according to her, turning to food for comfort.
Yeah.
Or for emotional support.
Yeah.
Right?
And easily done, you know. I think that parents...
Oh my God.
Man, I've got a lot of messages from parents that struggle because they are really fit and in shape, and then they have younger kids that are gaining so much weight and they don't know what to do because they refuse to eat anything other than pizza and fucking like mac and cheese, you know. It's like, you have to make sure your kids eat. You can't put them on a diet because then maybe you're going to cause some kind of like, taboo subject around, you know, and create some kind of healthy relationship with food, you know, and that's not what you want to do to your kids. But at the same time, you don't want to sit back and watch your kids gain and gain and gain and gain and gain. So it's like such a tough place to be as a parent. I can only imagine you know, of like not knowing what to do.
Yeah, I agree. And nowadays,
culturally as well, whenever
Yeah.
we go to Brazil, you know, it's a very different nutrition. It's a very different diet that is a staple of the cultural diet is going to be rice and beans and a lot of meats, a lot of really good food.
Right. It's mostly a diet where a not so big percentage of the population has enough knowledge to understand exactly what they're eating and what that will do to them.
Right.
But most importantly, the bigger mass in society doesn't really understand it, which means that the food available to you, it's always a double down on the worst things you can possibly consume.
Yeah.
It's like 2-3 types of protein, 8-9 kinds of carbs.
And this is for one meal.
Yeah.
And you
in
know,
one meal.
I remember going there one time thinking, the first meal I had at your house, and this is amazing, right? It's just culture, and I'm just so fascinated by it. I thought it was like this big celebration because, like, you know, it was the first meal together, and then I'm like, wait, this is every day, twice a day. There's like 3 different options for food, 3 different options for meat, 5 different options for carbs. Like, which one do I choose?
Yes.
Oh, and then
Great.
obviously, like, you know, everyone's generous, and I think that food is such a
brings people
gift,
together.
and it does bring people together, and it's such like a gesture of love and hospitality, you know, and it's like
many cultures, right?
oh, absolutely, and I love that. It's comfort, you know, and I do remember the first time. Oh my God, do you remember the first time we went and how sick I got because I was eating so stupidly.
Well, we put on 15 pounds.
We did.
Start with that.
Yeah, we put on
Each.
15 pounds, and it was like 10
14,
days,
15.
right, or 10, 15 days.
It was it was a longer trip. But for the first week, we were working out twice a day.
Yeah,
Which means that we're killing it.
yeah.
And then we actually left town
And said,
to start
"Let's take some
traveling, and
time."
we said, "Fuck off."
Yeah, and then
And
oh
shit
my
got-
God. And I remember I wasn't shitting, sorry to go there, but I wasn't pooping. So I
Yeah.
felt like all the food was just blocking my system. It was
Because
just
your body was
piling
like,
up.
dude, we're not
What are
used
we
to
doing?
it.
And it was just getting higher and higher. I'm like, okay, I have no more space. Like, I can't even eat anymore. And it hurt so bad. I was convinced
Yeah.
I had a parasite, and it just turns out I just overate. Overindulged in food. But it's
tough.
easily done, man.
Easily done.
What's around you?
So that's what I'm saying. So if you look at a table at a whole spread.
Look at the fish.
Yeah.
They're trying to go against the current.
Oh, cool.
They look strong as shit.
So if you looking at the whole spread on the table, if you don't really know what each one of those things actually is and do, oh man, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Because this is good, this is good, this is good. Next thing you know, you stuffed your entire plate with all the good stuff.
Yeah.
Usually the good stuff, the real good stuff, is tough.
It's not too good
You
for
gotta thread lightly with that.
Yeah. Okay, so culture had something to do with it. Now, obviously, the emotional part of your, your grandfather passing is really not cool either. But, you know, what if you were to look at yourself?
Yeah.
If you were to talk to that 12-year-old boy now, right? What would you say, let's better off that question, right? What was going through that little boy's head at that time? Like, was he aware of the fact that he was overweight and didn't like it? Like,
oh, definitely.
if the
Super
confidence was self-conscious, okay.
Super self-conscious. Gets to an age where your friends start hanging out with girls and hooking up. That didn't happen until a little later, until I started getting my shit together. So yeah. What?
How old?
How old what?
Okay, that's not the conversation for this, is it?
How old what? No, baby, nothing like that. But just literally hanging out and going out with girls and making out, all that stuff.
But don't worry, guys, because he sure as shit made up for it when he
I don't know
grew
what you're talking about,
a few more inches into this 6'2"
I don't know what you're
guy
talking about.
with a wide back and green eyes. You fucker.
I dance.
I did.
Oh.
All right, so we've described that, okay? Now, I don't want to really talk about how you became so aware of it, and it's really a cool story, actually. It's actually really cute as to why you decided to make a change, but we'll talk about that in another episode that will be
Sounds
coming
good.
very soon, okay? But if you were to, do you want to add anything else towards your struggle?
No, that was it. Like I said, self-conscious. Just knew that I wanted to make a change and that I would probably feel a lot better making a change. And we did it.
And one more question, I guess, which is a heavy loaded question because you were so young, but I guess if you were up to the age of 18, like where were you at mentally during that stage of your life?
What stage exactly?
12 to 18, when you were overweight.
not an unhappy kid, but definitely, and if there's someone watching this right now, it's always in the back of your mind. You always kind of know that you have an open wound kind of thing. You know what I mean? And
You're
you
not
know that-
100% comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah.
I don't think
And
anyone
there's
really
always
is,
an open
actually.
wound in a sense that you know that at any point, if you fuck with a friend a certain way, you know that the rebuttal is going to be always something that's going to dig into that wound. Does that make sense? So you always, I think so, yeah. I guess
Do you
so.
think that anything that happened at that stage in your life has stayed with you to today, like caused complexes?
I don't think that people eliminate those complexes at all. You kind of work how to come around them. You work how to mitigate them and kind of live with them and make them better. Because those things are the sort of things that kind of, they get etched into you. And it's shit. I think you got to do a lot of therapy work to kind of uncarve those things. But those things don't leave you. Like even now, whenever we're in the best shapes of our lives, or myself in this case, been in the best shape of my life, a few years for certain projects, and even when you're at that point, a day after the project, you go out, you have a large meal, and you're like, oh man, I just want a cheap meal. The next day, you look at yourself in the mirror and you see something completely different. Because we are our biggest critics, and we'll always be.
Now, do you think, this might be personal, but we have a saying that's find your reason. Is one of your, driving reasons to not be overweight as to why you pursue fitness and a healthy lifestyle?
Yes, definitely one of the reasons. Definitely one of the reasons. Especially because now, being older and knowing a lot more about fitness, the body, how everything kind of works, I know that for my body type, I have to constantly exercise.
Do you fear that you're going to go back
it
there?
will go. No.
No.
Not go back. No.
It's not an option.
No. Not an option.
I
Because
love
now
that.
we have a plan, whenever we need to deploy the plan, we deploy the plan. Sometimes we do it more often than not. Sometimes we put that plan in the back burner and then we just kind of live life a little, but yeah.
Well, that's cool. I was going to ask you what your motivation was to take action, but you want to drop a seed?
It was love, misfortune, I guess. Yeah, as a kid. So that happened and I'm like, fuck this. We're doing it.
Making a change?
It was literally like that, yeah.
A girl was mean to you?
Girl was mean to me and I'm like, all right. We'll see who's left. Who's going to left last.
Let's see who's laughing now,
Exactly.
sucker. All right, well, thank you for sharing, man. That's
How
cool.
about you, baby?
Well-
How about you, baby?
Oh, man. The
Because I
struggle.
know you a
Yeah.
lot, and I've hear what?
No, you can use it if you want to ask me
Oh.
certain questions,
No, so you mentioned about what was the most, do you consider that being the most defining moment of your life
Which one?
when you moved from the UK to the United States?
I think that was a very big struggle. I think that was a very big turning point.
Yeah.
But I think prior to that, the real struggle was identity, feeling like a lack of belonging, I guess.
Yeah, what do you mean, lack of belonging as in, I'm in a group, I don't belong in this group, or?
I think I'm just different. I grew up in England. My mom is beautiful. She's actually a brunette, but has blonde hair, green eyes, Irish woman. And my dad is 100% Chinese, and I am mixed race, and I am half Chinese, half Irish, and I am a minority, and that word minority itself just makes you feel like the odd one out, and I think that I started to really recognize that when I was growing into a girl, like not a child anymore, I was growing into this teenage girl and really struggling with not understanding who I was, or like understanding that I was different and accepting that. So I think that caused a lot of disrupt within my internal self and led to a lot of really bad decisions and I call them demons, but like a really dark streak.
Yeah. So growing up, did you have, because at what age are we talking here?
I don't think I really recognized it, because my parents did a really good job, and I say this with love, but I had a very fortunate upbringing. I really, really did. But I think that when I was younger, I thought it was also a lot better than it was because my parents built that life for us, you know. We talk about it now, but like I'm obsessed with the outdoors and love being outside, and that's what we did growing up. And now I laugh about that with my parents because I'm so grateful, and so is my brother. But my parents are like, oh my gosh, like we had to, because all the rest of our friends are taking their kids on a fucking plane and taking them, or on a cruise or on a boat, and we couldn't afford that. So we'd pack up a car and put a tent in the back, and we'd drive out to the country and we'd camp, and that was our vacation. And I felt rich, you know, and that's something that I'm using as a comparison to say, like, I didn't understand that I was different until I went to a private school.
What age is that?
I remember that, I was probably 7 or 8 years old, and a first time it was ever a thing for me, which became it was a trauma because I still remember it. I was really young, I was in the playground, and one of the girls that I was with said, we can't play with you because you're brown. And I went home and I told my mom, and my mom lost her fucking shit. Went to school, and if anyone knows my mom, Kathy can fucking tear it up if she wants to. Like, you don't want to get on the wrong side of this beautiful Irish woman because she will kick some ass. But she was really infuriated by it, and I remember that, which, you know, my mom was protecting me, but it made me realize that that was wrong, and that was actually a thing. And then that became a thing, I think, within the group of friends in the playground, was like, I was different. And then I hung out with another Chinese girl, and it was just her and I, which is so interesting, right?
Was this your first experience and understanding of, there is this thing called minorities?
Yeah, there's a thing called minority. I had to check and also at the same stage in life, we had to check boxes. I remember another trauma that happened was at a dance school that I went to, and I had to take a form home, and I asked my mum to fill the form out, and the form was like, you need to check this box whether you were English, French, Spanish, or I don't know what it said, right? It was like, or other. Mm-hmm. And so because they didn't have a box for me, my mum was like, you're not one of these, you know, like I'm not doing this, you're not other. And it became a thing again. It was like, okay, so now I know that I am different, right? It's like, all right, I'm different, so now I've got to understand this. And then when I started to get a little bit older, I started to become rebellious, and I actually got, I don't know if you can use the word kicked out of private school, but I bit a child. I was very aggressive. I was a fucking horrible kid because I was just started to like act out, you know?
I'm different, I'm gonna give you different.
I'll fucking show you different kind of thing. And my behavior was starting to act up. I was very energetic. I was being punished for it. It started like this cycle of like, okay, this girl needs attention and she's trying to find attention in some way. I don't know how, right? And then I left the private school system and went to a public school. And I remember a very, very, very decisive moment, which was I went from a private school to a public school. And the public school I went to was in an area that was surrounded by certain like estates or areas that were lower income housing, right?
Yeah.
So it was a very different culture for me, a very different group of friends, a very different environment for me. And I started to really rebel. And I remember having like a long skirt that was by my knees, this big fucking nerdy backpack. My uniform was ironed to a T. My hair was slicked back. I was like the perfect little girl that put herself together. Then I walked into this school, and I'm with girls that like have their hair gelled over to the side of their head. Their skirts are tied up to their hips, and their fucking shirts are tied up. And I'm like, oh my God. And I remember having a conversation with one girl. And I was raised in Maidenhead, and I used to speak very proper. And my parents, if you talk to them, that's exactly how I sounded until I went to a school. And then I started talking like that, and someone said, oh wow, well, you're well posh, aren't you? Like, you sound like the Queen. And I was like, I went to the bathroom. I remember I rolled my skirt up. I fucking went home, did not use that bag again, got a different bag, started to gel my hair to the side, started to say thanks instead of thank you, started to not pronounce my T's and cross my I's, like started to try and blend in with this new normal, right? Because I didn't want to fucking stand out again. That's what has already been going on. It was like, I want to fit in. So I did everything I could to do that. I didn't let anyone come to my house because I had a nice house. My parents are still together, you know, like I was ashamed of the privilege, of the privileged life that I was given, because it was almost like a guilt thing. Like a lot of the people that I went to school with didn't have that. And it was like, I, A, don't want to shove that in their face, and B, like, I feel like it's like you're the rich girl, like kind of thing. And I didn't want that to be a thing, so I just never let
Yeah.
anyone come to my house. So it definitely became a thing. So that was my struggle that led to a lot more, obviously, down the road. But we can go there if you want.
Shit. Okay.
The screen is getting really dark, but hopefully you're still listening.
Hopefully, yeah. I know. The light. We're losing the light, babe.
We are.
Okay, so when did you move to America?
I moved to the US when I was 16 years old. So that was 2006.
Okay. Tough.
Yeah,
Tough
man.
age.
Oh, boy. You better bet your ass.
So you came, when you moved to America, you were still in the public school, like you said?
Yep.
So you
long
came
story.
in a badass already. Like,
Oh, my God. I wasn't really supposed to
did
come.
you want to come?
No. I'd run away from home before we came to the US. So that whole story was, my dad, and just to give a back story on that, I guess, is I have incredible parents, right, that are self-made. Like, my parents came from nothing, and my dad worked very hard with my mom. And my mom raised my brother and I so my dad could work, and he evolved and started at an entry-level college student and became the vice president of Hasbro, one of the biggest toy companies, in the world. And I saw that, which was huge. But with that, my dad's job was critical to our family's financial system, right? So my dad's job was transferred to the US, and I was 16 and in the absolute peak of being a dickhead child,
A madhouse.
right? I was dating a convicted felon.
Oh.
I was, not a good kid, lying to my parents, going and visiting my ex-boyfriend in jail. I was hanging out and I was a bully. I was fucking mean. I was such a rude girl. I was just such a horrible person, and someone that my parents probably, they'll never admit it, but I would be so ashamed because my parents were amazing. They loved me so much and they provided me with so much, but I didn't want it because of other reasons, I just wanted to blend in with the culture or the environment that I was in at that time, which led to a lot of really bad decisions. But whenever my mom found out that I was dating this felon and it was confirmed, we got in a huge blowout and I ran away from home. So I was not living at home before we moved, but my dad's job got transferred. And he actually had to come to the United States a year before my mum and I, because I had to finish school, which put so much stress and stretched their marriage to beyond belief. And I, as the dickhead child that just kept making
I want to make it worse.
the situation as
Let's
bad
make
as
it
I
worse.
possibly could. It was like I was just trying to do, I don't even know what, which I still have no idea why, But yeah,
Kids
so I
act
did
out.
that.
Kids
Yeah.
want attention. Kids sometimes feel like they're no longer the center of attention, the love, and it's like, okay, cool, you're not going to look at me, I'm going to make it look at me.
Yeah. And I don't know what it was, I don't know if it was because of the environment that I felt different, that I was this minority and I was trying to blend in. I don't know if it was because I was a really independent kid, and did a lot on my own. So then I kind of just was like, I don't need you kind of thing. I got this on my own kind of thing. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. But that's why we moved to the US. So before why I got on that plane, I still don't know. I have no idea why. I knew I had to
they
fly.
went to the airport and what? You didn't
I
go
went
with
to
them?
Turkey on a vacation with a friend and went fucking buck wild. Came back and was like, I don't know if I'm going to go. And I still don't know why. But I did.
So what, they
I
went to the
fucking
airport and you went and met them there?
Yeah.
Shit. By yourself. Because deep inside you're like, no man, this is my family. I'm just being a little
And
shit.
I have this conversation all the time with friends that I also know that were little shits that made some really bad decisions that went really far off, like far out into that deeper dark space, right?
Yeah.
But they came back. And I have a lot of friends that didn't come back, which is a sad story. But why? Why did I come back? Why did I get on that plane?
Did these friends have a similar family structure, a similar background, or a similar upbringing? Or it was totally different?
I think that some of them did, but some of them didn't.
Right.
And I can maybe understand the ones that didn't a little bit more.
Right.
But when you have a loving family and you have all these, like you raise
All the needs.
3 kids, right? And 2 are collegiate athletes that just fucking buckle down. They are grade A students and they just kill the game. And then they've got this other student that had the same upbringing, you know, and I think that through therapy I've learned that even if your upbringing is great, one moment can create trauma in your brain, and that's now your truth, right? And that's what you hold on to, and that's what defines the rest of your life. And I think, you know, through having really heavy conversations with my brother, and maybe one day we'll be able to get him on the podcast, but like, he went through that same shit too, and to be adults and have a really uncomfortable conversation to understand that we both romanticize the idea of what family was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And whenever you have this idea and the expectations are so high and they don't reach it, then you just fucking hate the world and hate everyone, you know? It's like, none of that was true. But the truth in my brain created that story. The truth in his brain created that story too. So
you moved to America 2016.
Yep.
And you moved to where? Where'd you guys go?
We moved to Longmeadow, Massachusetts.
What sort of town is that?
Oh my gosh, it's a 5 mile, well actually it's not 5 miles, I have no idea, I'm making that up, maybe 10 miles, but it's a tiny town.
Okay.
It's extremely wealthy in Massachusetts. So I went from that really cool, amazing school, but rough school of all girls in England to Longmeadow, Massachusetts, right? So I'm like,
proper?
Oh,
rich?
Dude, like super,
blue
I don't want to
collar,
use the word rich, but extremely wealthy, maybe like one of the most wealthiest towns in the United States of America. Extremely wealthy. Beautiful families, beautiful kids that are very well behaved, that all kind of like have this similar vibe of Abercrombie and Fitch kid, you know. I walk in there with my hair gelled down to the side of my fucking face.
Yeah.
With my green eyeliner on and my fucking
like hoop earrings?
gold hoop earrings, and I'm just like gold ring on every single finger, thugged out like a motherfucker. Yeah.
And how was it? You walk in and people
everyone,
are like,
they started rumors. They're like, oh my god, have you seen the new girl? She's black and Eve. Like, what? No, I'm not. It was like, wait, what? This is crazy. It's so fucked, right?
It's fucked.
But and it was. You know, I definitely stuck out, let's just say that. But it was an opportunity, and I had a turning point, which we'll get to, and I'll talk about what that was.
And
but
you recreated yourself.
I recreated myself. I had perspective, a shift of perspective.
Yeah.
To see that I was given a huge opportunity to start again.
Right.
Because the only way I saw when I was in that other mindset was that way. Like, I didn't understand. I was in so deep, I didn't understand how I was going to get out. I had, like, oh shit, dude. I had so much shit go down. I had fucking people threatening my life. I had someone smashing my dad's windscreen in our driveway at our house. Someone broke into our house and stole our shit. Like, so much shit happened because of the decisions that I made and the group of people that I surrounded myself with. And it was all self-inflicted, man. And I don't regret it, I don't think, because I think that the struggle is the only reason why I'm here. Like,
the obstacle's the way.
You know, struggle builds character, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that a quote? And it might not be such a like vicious, burning reminder every single day to do whatever I can to not be that person. You know. But yeah, it becomes very easy to take the dark route, which my dark route was just like being a bad, rebellious kid, making bad decisions, being mean to people, you know. And I think that's why every day, one of my reasons is I've done enough of that in my life. I have to pay it forward now, right? And like the feeling of being nice and elevating and helping and contributing towards someone's life is something that might be selfish, but it's a lot better than the feeling of going to sleep at night knowing that you made someone cry or you hurt someone, you know?
Yeah.
No matter how much, I don't know what power, if that's power that you're trying to gain by that behavior.
Yeah.
But you can also feel power by doing the right thing. And so it's a constant reminder, you know, because I'm still the same person.
Right, we all are. It's just finding the point of it's time to evolve, it's time to switch, and it's time to turn around. Mm-hmm. Because especially now, the times that we live right now, we're constantly being bombarded by social media with everyone's highlights, right? Everyone's limelight. People only post the good shit. No one posts the crap. No one makes themselves vulnerable. And that's tough because that creates a whole mental battle inside of us, as in, man, I'm a fucking failure. Like, everyone is doing all these things. Everyone is, you know, and I'm a fucking failure.
Yeah.
which is hard. We all go through it. I have my own demons now that are different than the ones that were before.
And I actually want to talk about that because, you know, I don't think the struggle stopped there.
No.
You know, like I came to the US, it was like a moment of like, all right, cool, I'm found it. I started to turn around at school. I went in with like a 2.0 GPA and graduated with like a 4.0. I was on the honor roll. I was an honor student. Like I was in AP level classes. Yeah. Like I was a fucking good kid. And when I went to college, I was a good kid as well. That's long meadow, but towards the end. I'm like, if I want to go to college, I have to step my fucking game up.
Right.
People believed in me. I had a teacher that saw through all my behavior shit and was like, cut the fucking shit, stop being a dick, buckle down because your potential's huge. I see you, and I see that all of this is fucking crap. And that spoke to me too. No matter how much I resisted, I heard it and I felt it every time she'd say it. I was an English teacher, so I went above and beyond. I became an overachiever and I tried everything I could to try and make it right for all the wrongs and just have a very different perspective on life, and then not hate my dad for making us move, but thank him for giving me an opportunity to start my life over again, you know, which mended my relationship with my family entirely. But the struggle didn't stop there, right? So I came to the US, I went to school, and then I was a really good kid, right? But then I graduated high school, and then I went to Florida. And I went to school for photography, and I wanted to get away from living at home, and then I started to struggle again. But I think the biggest struggle that I'll probably have to deal with for the rest of my life is this dark streak or these demons that you just said.
Right.
They appear in different forms, right? Where the root is, why it began, I can maybe try and say is because of the minority and I was different and didn't have this sense of belonging or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But as I get older, now I'm like, I don't know. That might have been it when I was younger, but now, like, I know who I am. I'm proud of who I am. I'm comfortable in my own skin. But when we met, I was 100% not in a good place. I had an extremely unhealthy relationship with food. I weighed 105 pounds. I didn't eat. I did drugs. I partied my ass off. I did as much as I possibly could to keep moving as fast as I could to feel this fucking adrenaline.
I'm doing it.
Like I just needed to be going and going and going at whatever cost of what that meant. And now it's like, why is that there? You know, like where did that come from? I don't know. It's that same addictive personality of like this energy that came and was created once I started behaving like this child that was an idiot when I was getting noticed as being different. You know, it's like why that might have been why it became, but now it's like I'm so aware of it and it still comes back. And then, you know, I think through fitness, I was able to like get a handle and take the fucking reins and understand that, again, the choice is yours to make a change and to make things different. And then it was like, which we'll talk about, a commitment stage to, you know, I felt it before, but I didn't stay there. There's a relapse and I'm never going back again, you know? So I think that's what the struggle is for me.
And it will never stop, right? Because nowadays, as you evolve into something new, almost as you walk into a room, it takes you years to fix the entire room and put everything in the right spot. Then, okay, move on to the next room, and shit's there again.
Yeah.
And you gotta work hard, fix again, move on to the next room, and as you get older, the types may change, but fuck, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. And now, bring it to our now, right? We are living on the road, as you guys know.
Yeah.
And holy fuck, we've been faced with new shit that comes to light.
New struggles, man. There's always struggles. And that's life. I think life is a struggle.
Yeah.
Right? Once we can understand that analogy, it's like the more experience we have, the more struggle we go through, the more we understand what we're made of and how to overcome it and move past it. I think this is a really good note for us to, like, you know, leave off.
I agree.
And we can talk about all of that. Like, how do we become so aware? How do we overcome it? Why do we stay in it? And, you know, and how do we commit to it?
I like it. All right.
Thanks for listening.
And thanks for allowing us to share a little bit of our past. Because sometimes we create this relationship that's mostly, oh, you're on the other side and we're sweating and this and that.
Yeah.
And although you guys know a lot about us, about our lives, I think there are moments like this that actually
make us more human?
Exactly. 100%. Show everyone that, hey man, there's a person full of flaws on this side, and you know, we're just on the same road of trying to figure shit out.
Yeah.
Because no one really knows.
And I also think it gives more of a understanding behind our brand, right? Like
Yeah.
FYR apparel. Why did we start that clothing brand? It's find your reason apparel.
Yeah.
Like, I know my reasons, they are so fucking strong, and everyone else should know their reasons too. And when you can look down at your clothes and have an FYR reminder or on your sweat towel, and you're like it's something that I manifest every day. It's like, you know,
I agree.
everyone else should do that too.
I agree. All right.
Well,
Baby, good one. So
that's nice.
Zion, the Narrows, straight to you
It might be
guys.
dark now.
And we might get hypothermia. So we're going to figure this out. Hopefully we can
Yeah.
shoot another one of these.
Bye.
Have a good one, guys. Thank you.